Just press record, get the dad grunts out of the way. What's up, guys? I'm Canyon McCarty. I am here to talk about a few things. This is my first YouTube video, and I've had a channel for a long time, but that was just really for my own browsing purposes, delivering videos to wedding clients. Never really have taken the plunge to make a video, but I have a lot of buddies that are starting to do it now, and a lot of people I follow that I've finally met have had channels for years, and I've been a big fan. And obviously, the space is fucking full of people doing photography-based YouTube channels and stuff like that, but I don't know. I just kind of decided to talk and see how it goes. But no, the reason I'm here and the reason I'm making this video, and I've been wanting to do it since I got it, is I want to talk about the Nikon ZF and how much I adore this camera. You know, I'm not really going to get into any specs really. I just kind of, I don't know, I'm constantly on YouTube looking up gear review and stuff like that, and I kept trying to find stuff about this camera, and there's a few channels, bigger channels that did do this camera and reviewed it when it came out a few months ago, but not as many as I figured there would be. There's definitely a lot of smaller channels talking about it, but it can kind of go, you know, 50-50 if they like it or not. And I don't know, and some of the people who don't like it, I don't really agree with what they're talking about, but I think a lot of those are a lot more spec driven. I'm here to talk about this camera just to say I adore it. Nikon is new to me. I grew up on Canon. I started with a Canon PowerShot when I was like a freshman. I stole it from my brother and started kind of messing around with it then. And then for Christmas later in my high school career, I got like a Rebel XSI or TSI. I really can't remember. There's so many damn Rebels out now. And then, yeah, I thought I was cool in high school with the camera, but never took it seriously. And then later in life, became friends with some photographers that kind of motivated me to get more into it. And then I went to a Canon Mark III, and then from a 3, oh shit, no, before the 3 I had the Canon 70, and then to a Mark III, Mark IV. Then we went mirrorless, went to a Canon R5, so that was a big boy purchase, and still have that camera. It's my workhorse. Then to an R6, traded that in for the R6 Mark II, and that's where I was for a long time. But those are my work cameras. Canon is super dependable, and some of those cameras, the R5 is starting to show its age a little bit, which is insane because it's a fucking incredible camera, but it's kind of like cameras nowadays, it's like AI. It's just they're constantly one-upping things all the time. So a camera from like a few years ago is already ancient. It's so crazy where things are going. So anyway, I got kind of tired. I was getting a little bored with Canon because, you know, obviously I use it all for work. So then from Canon, I decided to give Fuji a shot because I kept hearing about these film simulations. And then TikTok kind of got me to buy a X100V. And I still have that camera, but I gave it to my fiance because sadly I got kind of bored with it. It's a beautiful camera. It is awesome. Lovely, lovely camera. But the thing about Fuji is it's all crop sensors. It's not full frame, which is fine. But I feel like it's kind of more for people who don't mind shooting JPEGs. And that's kind of the whole thing with Fuji is, you know, the simulations, which are gorgeous, you kind of only get those baked into the JPEG, and I am just so, I don't know, just anal about messing with my photos. Like I just constantly mess with them, and you know, to do that and not totally gut your image, you want a raw file, and you want the biggest raw file you can manage without just decimating your hard drives. I don't know, somebody's blowing me up. I don't know what's going on. And so those files just didn't really hit as much as I thought they would. So I passed that on to my fiance. And last year, toward the end of the year, I think it was October or November, I can't remember. I have a terrible memory. I went to Canada for a photo expo called Canada Photo Summit put on by Taylor Jackson. Incredible expo, first one I've ever been to, and yeah, no, highly look into it. They're doing one in April. It's awesome. I don't know all the details off the top of my head, but you should look it up. Taylor Jackson, Canada Photo Summit. I'll be there again. But anyway, while there, one of the sponsors for the expo was Nikon, and you know, I kind of walked by the booth and there was a couple boys there, and they were the dogs. They were good folk. I love them. They're awesome. I think I have a couple of them on Instagram. And we were kind of talking about Fuji and Canon, and I was like, yeah, I don't really mess with Nikon. And I was like, but I do like the film aesthetic of a film camera. And he's like, well, you know, we got the Nikon ZF, and Taylor Jackson came up. He had his, and they handed me the one they had on the table, and holy shit. The moment I held it, I just kind of was just like, it just felt good in the hand. And I will say, a lot of people bitch about the ergonomics of it, which is understandable, but when I held it for the first time, it had the grip. And that felt really good. The weight, I'm weird. I have all Canon stuff with big lenses, all primes. And you get a Canon R5 with a 135 and the grip on it with a small rig and all that. It's heavy. So when I went to the X100V, it was so light, and it felt cheap, which just weight, not quality of like materials, because it's a beautiful camera, but the weight just threw me off. So I like heavier things. And when I felt this, it's like the perfect heft. It just feels solid, feels so good. I want to say it's an all metal body besides the brass dials, which apparently that will get patina over time, just like old film cameras, which will be awesome. And no, overall, like the weight of the material used makes it feel good, and it makes it feel secure and durable. And I've dropped this a few times and I've had no issues damage-wise, but sorry, I'm just kind of rambling. I got to get back on track here. I held this at the expo and I fell in love, and then Taylor had his, and he randomly offered to hook us up and get a photo shoot of me and my fiance while we were there, and that was done by Sam Hurd. And before Sam did it, he handed Sam his Nikon ZF. And so that's what he used during the whole shoot, and they made a whole video about it. It's on YouTube. And I don't know, while he was shooting it, I fell in love with how it looked like it was handling. And then later when I saw the photos, I was like, holy shit, those colors are amazing, which obviously a lot of that is to do with Sam and his editing style and whatnot. But then after the expo, got home, I couldn't get the camera out of my head, and I ordered it. And once I got it, I knew I did not make a mistake. I was just blown away with just how it runs, the images it produces, which that might be a Nikon thing. I have always kind of shitted on Nikon, but that was 100% a fanboy thing. I always, for a long time when I was younger, which I guess I'm not that old, but in my younger photography days, I was Canon all the way and screw everybody else. But man, when I started playing with the Nikon file, I realized that I really like their colors. And maybe it's just because I'm so just got tired of Canon and their files, that the Nikon was just something new. But I really felt like with my editing flow and style and presets and all the stuff I like to do with my images, the Nikon files, I just kind of clicked. I don't know why. And so I fell in love with the files, and obviously being full frame, I could do a lot of the stuff I've been wanting to do. Well, not that I want to do, I do all the time, but I can do it without a lot of the negatives of my Fuji files. So yeah, I fell in love with this camera. And then, on top of that, I got it with the 40mm f2. And this lens is gorgeous. It's cheap. It flows into the body so nice. And holy shit, it is a hell of a prime. I've shot business work on this. I've shot my own personal work, and it's just so snappy. And the autofocus on this is to die for. The 3D tracking, which is the boys at the expo were telling me about it. The moment I started playing around with it, I'm like, holy shit, this makes Canon look like a hell, a turtle. I don't know. Fucking whatever turtle. Oh, fuck. But yeah, no. The film aesthetic of this camera, and I guess it's after, I think, the Nikon FE or FM. I can't remember. Sorry. Like I said, I'm not like super big on Nikon in the past, but I've always loved like film cameras, like their aesthetic. And in a perfect world, I would just get into film cameras, but I don't really want to spend the money. I could afford it, I guess, but I just don't see where it would make sense for me and my work. But I've just always been so jealous of just the look of film cameras and all that. And you kind of just get that with this. Obviously you got it with the Fuji, but with this being full frame and with the film aesthetic, is just so lovely. I fucking love this so much. The look, everything, the feel. I know I keep saying it, but I just want to, when I pick this camera up, I want to go out and shoot. I want to create, and I have no issue bringing this with me all the time. It's a wonderful camera, and I can't wait to see like firmware updates with it. If what else they do with it. If they do another iteration of it, I hope other brands like Canon and stuff kind of follow suit with kind of the film aesthetic bodies. I think that is a market, and I've heard other people talk about it, that is just dominated by Fuji, and I don't know if the tide is turning now where people are like, or maybe the big companies are starting to realize, oh hey, that's kind of an easy win. Yeah, no, this camera is wonderful, and I'm going to continue shooting with it. And what if I do post this video, I will tag like my Instagram, and I've started using an app called Glass, which is one of Sam Hurd's buddies. I think his name's Daniel. I can't remember. There's a few people in the business, but they started an app called Glass, and it's photo driven. I've really been loving that app, and I've been posting a lot of my work on there as well. And you can see most of my work that I post lately is all Nikon ZF files, obviously edited and whatnot. But yeah, no, this camera's great. Oh yeah, shit, it does black and white, like immediately. Like you have a switch that just toggles back and forth between black and white, which people love. I don't really dick around with it too much. I have some black and white presets in Lightroom that I love and I adore. So I just don't see a point when I can just do that. And I don't know, it's just personal preference. Yeah, anyway, that was my ramblings for the Nikon ZF. I hope I didn't stop it too abruptly, but this camera fucking slaps. I love it so much. I can't wait to expand my Nikon glass for this camera. And who knows, maybe I might trade in my R5 and R6 and maybe go with like a Z8. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But I'm really falling in love with Nikon because of this camera. It is so nice. So if you hear anyone talking negative about it, you know, I guess it really is just down to personal taste and preferences and what you look for in a camera. But for me, and you know, I do weddings, portrait work, and I've used this camera for all of it. I've used it I've used it on my last 4 weddings of last year, my personal work, maternity photos, senior portraits. It just doesn't miss. It's so nice. And that's with an f2 lens. So, and the images are just great. So anyway, if you're thinking about picking up a Nikon ZF, well, for what it's worth, some random dude in the middle of fucking nowhere Midwest says get it. It is so nice, and I don't think you would regret it. So anyway, that's all I got. And you guys stay safe out there. Stay warm. It's like fucking -10 out here. So yeah, anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.